I mean, arguably the strongest stable in golf. Would you agree? As promised, it's a pleasure to welcome to the show David Abeles, who is the president and CEO of TaylorMade Golf Company. David, I mean, I've got to start, dude, with congratulations. This past weekend, TaylorMade Golf Company has another ambassador, another major championship, now 2 in the books for Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. It was this past weekend was incredibly special, certainly for our company and mostly for Scottie and his family, but what he means to the game of golf. And I'm sure that you feel the same way is something that I think is uplifting for our industry, the game of professional golf, and certainly, golf fans like myself and members of our organization here in the United States and around the world. It was a fantastic victory. Scottie continues to make progress and develop as a world-class player, certainly as world number 1, and he demonstrated it last weekend at Augusta National.
It's interesting that you talk about what it means to the game, to the world of golf at large. What is it about Scottie Scheffler? I mean, you know him on a different level that we don't. We see Scottie as the competitor. And whenever you see an athlete as a competitor, even if it's in a press conference and what have you, there are certain levels of armor that still surround them for competitive reasons. Tell us about the Scottie Scheffler that we don't know, David. What is he like behind the scenes when you're just hanging out?
Matt, we are very specific at TaylorMade when we work with amateur athletes and subsequently professional athletes and identifying who becomes part of what we call Team TaylorMade. And the starting point in all that are our values as a company aligned with the values of the athlete, and are the athlete's values aligned with the nature of the company. And so whether you look at some of the imagery that you just shared, everyone from Rory McIlroy to Tiger Woods to Colin Morikawa this past weekend playing well again, Tommy Fleetwood playing terrific golf, Nelly Korda going for 5 this weekend, 5 in a row, Brooke Henderson. I think about this tremendous group of individuals that excel on the golf course, but who they are off the golf course matters to us. So as it relates to Scottie, one of the things that I find incredibly interesting and incredibly inspiring, quite frankly, is what you see as a golf fan when Scottie's in the press room, when he's playing golf, whether it's at Augusta National or winning anywhere else around the country or around the world, is precisely what you get when you're with Scottie one-on-one. Scottie and I was the fortunate one to be paired with Scottie at AT&T this year up at Pebble Beach just a couple months ago. And I've had a chance to get to know Scottie. Came on board with us several years ago. We knew him as an amateur. We know his family. We know Meredith, his wife. And we have fallen in love with him and his family for who he is and how he lives his life. And to play golf with him and be inside the ropes with world number 1 and see him hit 35 or 36 greens on Thursday and Friday. And his temperament never changes. His attitude never changes. His authenticity never changes. And quite frankly, his care and interest in other people never changes. He's not only a world-class player, as we've said over and over again, he's even a better person. And it's not common that you say that about most athletes. So what you see, to answer your question, Matt, when you're with him privately, the experiences you have with him one-on-one, when you're playing golf with him, it's identical to what you see in terms of how he acts, behaves, and leads and plays on the golf course in front of the public. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Scottie Scheffler, the consistency of who he is and how he lives his life and plays his game.
We're going to get into equipment, folks, in just a second with David. I've got a couple of pieces here with me, plus we've got some video that they sent in to us, and I want to talk about where they are in 2024. But to that stable that you just mentioned, you mentioned the name Rory and Tiger and Tommy and Nelly and Colin and Scottie, and it goes on. What's it like for you when you're sitting wherever you're sitting, at home watching the final throws of a major, and whether you're watching Nelly or whether you're watching Scottie or Colin, as it were, for a while, right? What is it like for you? Are you just going crazy watching your stable, watching your guys, your people when they're in the mix?
Nerve-wracking, I think, would be the 2 words to describe it. Listen, regardless of my role here at TaylorMade, which obviously I'm incredibly humbled to sit in this role with this great company and all of our great team, I'm a golf fan. Always been a golf fan. And I love this game like you do, like all of your audience does. And when our athletes, and I'm competitive, when our athletes ultimately are in contention, and this weekend was a great example. Certainly Scottie seemed to have control of that golf tournament most of the day. But, as he was making the turn on the front nine before he hit that wedge into number 9, it was getting pretty close. You had 3 or 4 at the top of the leaderboard, one of them being Colin, who, you could ask me the same question about Colin. What's he like off the golf course relative to how he's on the golf course? I would give you almost the same answer. And so, between rooting for Scottie this weekend and Colin playing great golf and Tommy Fleetwood coming up from behind playing a great back nine, it's nerve-wracking, but it's also incredibly inspiring and energizing and fulfilling. The gratitude we have for our athletes, the relationship, the personal relationship we have with our athletes, and then certainly, the impact that those athletes have on our business when they play well and when they win. All of those things together creates for a very energized and exciting and tension-filled Sunday afternoon, whether it's at the Masters or any other golf tournament for that matter.
There's no doubt about that. As you mentioned, Nelly, perhaps even one more time coming up this weekend. Fingers crossed there for you as well. I do want to touch on something that, as you talk about these athletes and as you talk about the TaylorMade company, it is clear that character and authenticity are very tightly intertwined with everything that you guys do. How would you say that these athletes who represent you to the world of golf also tie into who you feel TaylorMade actually is? How would you define that bridge?
Yeah, it's a very, very insightful question, Matt. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the kind words about the company we try to keep. Listen, we're not perfect. No company's perfect, but we strive for perfection. And at times, if we accept greatness, wonderful. We're a very competitive bunch of employees here at our company. We take great pride and passion in the things that we do, notably our golf equipment, this incredible sport that we all love. And we have an interesting value in this organization. It's actually a made up word. When we went through our value orientation like we do every year to pressure test, are we doing the right things in front of golfers, not just world-class players like Scottie or Nelly, but are we doing the right thing in front of golfers that aspire to play better, that need new technologies and better performance to enhance their game? And we approach everything with a degree of what we call golftimism. We believe in the future of this game, no more now than ever before. A lot of momentum in the game of golf right now at every level. We believe that we can continue to advance technology to enhance performance for players of all skill levels, not just the best players in the world, but all of us that are starting the game, that have been playing the game for a while, that aspire to play the game better. And there's a beautiful picture of our new QI family of products, the QI 10 driver. We can get into that, the QI iron. We relentlessly pursue advanced innovation and technology for the benefit of golfers. And at times, fortunately, we get a lot of credit for that, being a very technically driven company. And at times, we get some pushback on it, too, because we work so hard to try new things that real innovative companies don't exist in reality. And TaylorMade does for one primary reason. We're willing to take on the risk that most wouldn't to advance performance or advance design in a way that could truly benefit the way golfers play, both in equipment and golf ball. And that's a tough position to be in, because at times as an innovative company, you have to take on the risk of maybe not getting it right. So fortunately, we get it right more often than not. And right now we're getting it really right with QI, which is just an incredible blend of speed and forgiveness by bringing advanced technology, carbon face, and optimizing efficient energy transfer in the golf ball, which optimizes speed. TaylorMade's always been known for having the fastest drivers in the world, but we haven't always been known to be able to make the most forgiving driver. And 5 years ago, we set out to try to figure out how do we take those two variables and not have them be mutually exclusive, but have them be literally engineered so that they work together. And you can see this on the screen right now. We changed the dimensional qualities of the product. We changed the inertia properties of the product, and we retain the speed that everybody has come accustomed from TaylorMade. So this is the first of its kind, 10,000 what we call 10K MOI, which is measured in grams per centimeter squared. I won't get too engineering on everybody this morning, but this is the first driver we've ever made that not only optimizes speed, but really maximizes inertia. And you saw it on display with Scottie, with Colin, with Tommy, with Tiger, and all of our athletes that are now in QI10. It was one of the best drivers we have built for our athletes to get into, and thankfully they're playing them. And as you mentioned, Nelly included. So you can see the improvements in performance at impact there on off-center hits. It's an incredible product. Best I've seen in my 25 years in golf.
That is pretty significant, what you just heard there from David. And there is another point to that, David, if you would allow. I'd like to make sure we emphasize here. While David is talking about the very best players in the world benefiting from the product, and I have it right here in front of me. This is the Max, by the way, David, the one that I'm holding in my hand. That this particular product, the Max version, is excellent for everybody. And I think, David, if I may, that's an important message for us to put out, that the product isn't just designed for the best of the world and the rest of the world kind of fits in where they fit in. This product in particular that I'm holding in my hand is really made for the everyman golfer to try to maximize performance and forgiveness.
Matt, you are spot on. And in order for us to be the company we would like to be, which is the best performance golf brand in the world, it starts with making products that address the needs of every skill level within the golfing spectrum. And that product, the 10K Max, the QI10 Max, is precisely that. And it actually works for every player, regardless of ball speed. And so I've seen 18 handicaps pick up 10 yards or 12 yards by optimizing their launch conditions, speed and spin, and benefiting from the inertia properties, which is the resistance to twisting on off-center hits. And I've seen players like Scottie Scheffler also optimize their launch conditions to improve their performance as well. So you are spot on. And that QI10 Max is one incredible product. It's a beautiful product. Ironically, that's the product that Nelly Korda plays. That's the product that Colin Morikawa was playing in Hawaii this year. He's moved back and forth between that and the LS. But it's truly remarkable to see even the best players in the world wanting enhanced stability through optimized inertia, knowing that they're going to retain the ball speed qualities that's inherent in TaylorMade technology.
Awesome stuff. Now, what David's talking about the 10K, just so you guys, again, understand how it applies to your game, because he and I are getting kind of deep and nerdy with the technology here. What we're talking about is stability at the moment of impact. And no one, not even the best players in the world, always hit the center of the face. We used to say on the screws, but anywhere where you hit it, because of that high in MOI, you're going to get stability, which means you're going to get better performance across the board. What are you finding, David, if I may, with the average golfer? Let's go from a 10 to a 20 handicap in the performance of that high in MOI.
Yeah, we're seeing two variables, performance variables, that matter most. We're seeing consistency in ball speed on off-center hits. So if you take a 15 handicap, I saw one up here at our test center the other day, a 15 handicap that had 135 mile an hour ball speed. This gentleman hit it center face at 135, he hit it heel side at 134, and he hit it toe side, ironically, at 136. He caught a flyer off the toe, which was very cool. But when we map that face area and we map the consistency in ball speeds off that face area, regardless of where you hit this driver on the face, you're going to get roughly the same speed qualities coming off the driver face. So that's number one. The second variable are the launch conditions in spin. And that's a combination of the inertia that we talked about and the continued advancements of twist face technology. So whether you hit a high toe shot or a low heel shot, your side spin or your back spin rates are coming off consistent to a center hit. So when you tumble all that together, you're going to find distance because you're optimizing your launch conditions across the entire face map, even when you're off center. So that face stays stable, the energy transfer stays efficient, and ultimately your launch conditions, right, launch angle, speed, and spin remain relatively consistent across a larger face area, which then will have you hit it straighter and further. And that's precisely what's happening with QI10.
I know you guys are loving what you're hearing from David right now. And you guys should probably know this. He and I go way back because he came from the side of the business where he was directly dealing with you guys. He was directly dealing with golfers. And that's how he can explain this language and this technology so well, which you could appreciate as a CEO of one of the top companies in the industry. That's why they keep advancing to make sure that they take care of everybody with your needs. Now, I'm holding the QI iron in my hand. This is the 5-iron, David. And this particular model that I'm looking at, I love the width of the flange, all the stuff we'd be talking about if we were on a golf shop floor, right? I love the way that you have a beautiful top line on this. This is the real business end of the club here, right? Can you guys see that when I hold it up to the camera? So it's beautiful when you look down at it. It has the effectiveness of a hollow body design, and it still has your speed slot technology. This is like buying a car that's fully loaded. This has technology written all over it, but it's in a package that looks like a player's club.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. You know, we have two very clear segments of products in the irons category. We have, as you know, the P Series product. And the flagship product within the P Series is the P790, which has been the top-selling player's distance iron for the better part of the last 6 years now. It's been absolutely fantastic. And then that P Series is a forged product that works all the way down to some of the muscle back construction and cavity back construction that you see in the players on tour. Scottie plays the P7 TW, the Tiger Woods design product, and Colin plays the P7 MC, which is the muscle cavity. He also plays the 730 in the short irons. But we all realize, including myself, hitting forged blades and forged products isn't always the easiest thing to do. But we also realized in all of the research we've done and all the interactions we've had with game improvement quality type players, which is how can you build a product that provides the performance qualities for a mid to higher handicap, but looks the part of a serious player's product. And that's what QI represents. It is a product that provides those same inertia properties, those same speed properties that we talked about in the driver. This one comes in the form of the speed slot, Matt, that you were kind enough to reference in the construction of the sole. That what you just saw in the back of the driver is what we call a cap-back design. So there where you see the blowout, the configuration of the driver, we've got an incredible face dynamic that is really produced with different performance requirements across the face. We've got a speed slot in the sole, and then we've got a cap-back design that provides optimal forgiveness and perimeter weighting, supported by rebar underneath it, which optimizes feel. So every one of these faces, from the 3-iron all the way up to the pitching wedge, is designed for that particular iron. We don't design a 7-iron face and put it in a 3-iron, or a 3-iron face and put it in a pitching wedge. So we have so much data now in terms of how we think about developing and building an iron. Every one of those face has variable face thickness based on the requirements of a particular loft in a particular iron. And so this iron is what we call flighted CG. So on your long irons, you want higher launching. On your short irons, you want lower launching. So we actually flight the CG location across the entire golf club, which enables us to optimize trajectory for every entry point and into hitting your second or third shot, even into the green. So QI has been wonderful. We launched it literally 2 months ago. It's quickly become one of the most popular irons in golf, but it also looks the part of a very beautiful product, right? And that's important for us. We believe in two tenets in product design here, that our products need to be better in form and function year after year, or we won't launch them. Form in the context of, what does it look like? Is the design language leading edge? Is it contemporary? Will avid golfers, regardless of skill level, look at this product and say, I want to play it, I want to try it, it looks beautiful. And then function is certainly the functionality of the product and how it ultimately performs when you hit it. And so QI is a wonderful example of that, as is the P790. Those two, that 1-2 punch in our business right now, has helped us be the #1 iron company in the game of golf, and we'll continue to fuel the momentum behind those two products.
Yeah, it is very, very impressive indeed, David, because what it really comes down to is it's artwork that's backed by science and backed by technology so that you can have as much fun as possible playing the game. My guest is David Abeles. He's the president and CEO of TaylorMade. TaylorMadeGolf.com is the website if you want to check out anything that we have been discussing today. David, I do want to talk to you about the business side. You talked about the momentum in the game, that across the game It's at record levels right now. Let's talk about the 99.99% game. How has it benefited TaylorMade? Obviously, there are those areas that are going to be touchstones that we know in terms of sales and demand for your product. But the game is exploding post-COVID, and it's maintained that momentum, which is what's so great about it, because none of us really knew at the end of the pandemic whether it would. So from that standpoint, where and how do you view TaylorMade's role?
Yeah, so we've been incredibly fortunate to see the acceleration of participation in our sport as we work through and out of the I guess the steady state of the pandemic. It's hard to talk about the pandemic because you never want to see something as challenging as that situation during COVID. How do you talk about that in the context of more people playing golf? So we're extremely fortunate that golf was a beneficiary of some of the outdoor activities that came through the pandemic. And to your point, Matt, we've tacked on several million golfers around the world, not just here domestically, but around the world. And we all know this as golfers. Golf is a very sticky game. When you get your hands on a golf club and you hit a beautiful golf shot and you're playing with friends and family that you enjoy being around, it becomes very sticky. We have seen over the course of the last couple of years, as things migrate back toward what we believe to be a more normal flow of participation, we have seen that growth in the game that came through COVID be sustainable. We have seen rounds of play and participation, both number of participants and how frequently the participation is happening, remain sustainable and to some degree actually growing. Rounds of play this year are actually up low single digits, which is another marker of the incredible momentum we're seeing in the sport. That correlates directly into our business. The more golfers we have to engage and work with and ultimately provide product and product technology to enhance the way they perform, the better off we'll be. But we're equally as optimistic to see all the recreational players that came in through COVID as they transition into more technical products, and TaylorMade certainly serves a meaningful role here in the game of golf to help better players continue to improve as they work through their playing continuum. So the net effect has been very strong for our business, very strong for the business and industry. And our role is to continue to innovate. Our role is to continue to provide great products for players that really want to get better. That's simple, and we work to do that every day. We also invest and co-invest with associations in golf, from the USGA to the PGA of America, to pick one, the R&A, to ensure that this momentum is enhanced. And we get behind initiatives that help entry-level players learn the game of golf through instruction, through our club professional staff, domestically and international, to provide resources to help golfers improve the way they perform so that it can be more sustainable and sticky in terms of their experience in golf. And I've never been more proud of our company and the contributions we've made to the run-up of golf, even pre-COVID, but certainly post-COVID, and the efforts we will continue to make to serve those that ultimately desire to improve and get better in their respective games.
David, from the business side of the game, is there a risk that the game at its top competitive levels is still divided, that they're still searching for an answer?
Yeah, I think, many of the risks, Matt, have been discussed, written about. There are different perspectives contingent upon who you talk to and where you talk to those people. Very different viewpoints on the LIV PGA Tour situation domestically and internationally. I think we would all agree, at least certainly our perspective has been, the more frequent we can have the best players in the world playing together, and this past weekend was a great example of that, the more competitive the environment, we see better viewership, we see better energy around the game, and ultimately I think golf will be better for it. And so we're advocates of trying to find a way to have the best players in the world play more frequently together. And I'd love to think that we're working toward that. And I know there's a lot of smart people around the table, a lot of thoughtful people around the table trying to solve this divide at this point in time. I am sensing through my role and through our company that we're starting to see progress there, and that we have the right discussions that are happening that will lead us to a better place. I think time will tell. I'm hopeful that it happens sooner rather than later. But, quite frankly, Matt, we don't have a direct seat around that table. If we did, we would be working hard to find a way to help golf become more unified and put a product in front of golfers that inspires us all. But what I do find interesting, and I had this discussion actually at Augusta with a few of our media partners, we've seen some of the media ratings be a bit softer than I think we all would have liked early in the season. And some are suggesting that's because the product and the separation between LIV and the PGA Tour have created a little bit of dilution in the sport. I have a counter argument that would suggest that to some degree, there's so much golf being played at the recreational and core and avid level, there's just a little bit less being watched. And so, when you see millions of new golfers come into the game and you see participation rates and golf courses filled and tee sheets that are booked, from 7:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, it's fairly evident that golf's in a great place because golfers are playing the game. And when they're playing the game, perhaps they're not watching as much as we'd like. But rest assured, I'm excited to see what the numbers look like for this past weekend. I firmly believe that the world of professional golf will get better over time, and that anytime there's some type of disruption in any ecosystem, whether it's at the world of professional golf or TaylorMade disrupts with a new technology, the net effect over time is you end up with something better. And that's a tough thing to go through. But when we look back 10 and 20 years from now, I think we will look back at this moment in time and believe that in the end, we ended up with something that was better than what we started with. And the challenges as you're going through that, at times it can be a bit out of balance and a bit disheartening. But I believe we'll end up in a better place. And as I mentioned earlier, we come from a very golf-optimistic viewpoint here at TaylorMade, and believe that things will continue to work toward a stronger position in the professional game over time.
That golf-optimistic, that positivity is the reason why I think David is so important, folks, to the golf industry. I have a strong suspicion that what you just saw and what you just heard is the first long-form interview that you've ever been able to hear from David. And I think it's important for all of us to hear who the leaders are in our industry, because whether you're talking about character, whether you're talking about authenticity, whether you're talking about science, whether you're talking about engineering, whether you're talking about energy, ultimately, you're talking about passion. Ultimately, you're talking about a common love for the game of golf. And for all those things, David Abeles, thank you for what you and thank you for what TaylorMade means to the game of golf and what you continue to provide.
Matt, thank you very much. One, for having me on the show, but two, for all the things you're doing for this great game, our industry, and how you're bringing real insights, honest insights, real perspective to golfers around the country and around the world. I'm a huge fan of what you do. I'm a huge fan of how you do it. Grateful to have some time to share some thoughts with your audience this morning.